Welcome to TYT's. Jesus. It's the end of the season. I don't have it.
Beginning of the year.
Welcome to TYT Sports, everybody. Ben Mank, Jason Rubin, and Jayar Jackson, the J&J. I don't know what I'm talking about. So week 17 of the NFL, some meaningful games, some non-meaningful games, including the Rams, Niners, and that's the game we're going to talk about now. Who bets as much money on the Rams as I did yesterday? The game didn't matter. Like I was betting against Blaine Gabbert, but therefore I was betting on Case Keenum. Nonsense. I'd be ashamed of myself.
Well, because that's the reason that you did it, because there's no other reason to watch that game. You had to give yourself a reason.
I couldn't even find it. I couldn't watch it because the Red Zone channel never went to it.
Even if you had your life savings on the game, it was unwatchable.
It was unwatchable. It was really tough. Okay, so Turks and Jerks, we're going to put them together this week. Let's begin. What did I say we're starting with?
Turks.
We'll start with the good guys with the Turks, Jason.
Tyler Lockette, if you read his draft profile, Tyler Lockett's a rookie this year. And every weakness was he's too small to play in the NFL, even as the NFL changes towards more small slot receivers, the Danny Amendolas of the world, the Julian Edelmans of the world, you stick with the Patriots references. But and he said that he probably wouldn't even make it as a strong number one option for special teams and returns. Well, Tyler Lockette averaged 26 yards per return this year on punt and kick returns. He's also become instrumental as another option outside of Doug Baldwin for Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's thrown 24 touchdowns, 1 interception, and Tyler Lockett's been a major reason why Russell Wilson's been able to get away with the numbers he's been putting up. Lastly, the other major weakness they weren't sure in his NFL.com draft profile was not sure if he can create space, not sure about his route running ability, even though his dad was an NFL player too, I believe, for the Chiefs. And he's proved all those guys wrong. I like when wide receivers do that. I tend to stick with wide receivers for the Turks. Tyler Lockette could be an instrumental guy for the Seahawks in the playoffs, and he was instrumental in Week 17, and he's been instrumental for about all season long as a rookie.
He fits right in with the team. Very small, undersized wide receiver.
So you mentioned, I got a couple of Turks this week that I want to mention. You mentioned one of them because for the first time in NFL history, no one has thrown 24 touchdown passes and 1 interception over a period of any number of games. Russell Wilson has done it over the last 7. You see the spreads came out this morning, and the Seahawks are a 6-point favorite in Minnesota next week because everybody who watched the Seahawks just take apart the Cardinals in the first half of that game when the Cardinals had their starters, and everybody would be scared to play the Seahawks. And the Seahawks dominated the Vikings in a matchup earlier this year. That said, my money will be lost on the Vikings because I think that's too many. But the Seahawks are scary, and 24 touchdowns and 1 interception. I mean, look at what Pete Carroll and that organization can do. You mentioned like they find Tyler Lockette, they knew Russell Wilson. They turn their draft picks into stars consistently. So, and the other guy here, NFL record for most receptions over a 2-year period, 265 receptions over the last 2 years for Antonio Brown. 135 catches this year. The NFL record is Marvin Harrison. He caught 143 passes. But Brown caught 17 passes in the 4 games Roethlisberger didn't play. He only had 1 good game without Roethlisberger. The last one, 6 for 124. So 17 catches in those 4. He never had another 4-game stretch with fewer than 37 catches. So if Roethlisberger hadn't got hurt, you just add 20 catches to that total. You certainly can add 15. That's conservative. That takes him to, we would have been the first NFL player to catch 150 passes in a season, and he certainly would have broken Harrison's record of 143, but 265 in 2 seasons for Antonio Brown.
Do you have his yards per attempt on there too, or yards per catch? Because
I don't. Just I have this crazy device where I get my information from. It's called and I can't even remember the name.
Packers kicker, despite their loss to the Vikings last night, Mason Crosby, you don't see this type of play out of kickers. So it was pivotal, by the way. It's the reason it gave the Packers a chance, which they end up not getting. But it was like 5 minutes left, I think, in the 4th.
5:20.
They get a field goal, get within a touchdown, an extra point, of course, because those aren't automatic anymore. And Cordarrelle Patterson runs damn near the whole kickback. And you're like, oh, this game is over. I mean, they're at least in field goal range. They're down deep in their own territory. And here comes Mr. Crosby out of nowhere. I mean, this is a lunging tackle, and it wasn't by accident. Sometimes there's fumbles where guys just happen to swing their arms and they get their hand on the ball. This was targeted. He knew what he was doing.
Because you could see the ball get punched out at least 5-6 yards down.
Yeah, you've made the right call because the Turks and Jerks was invented. I mentioned it last week for Roddy White. who ran down Nate Clements when he was running back and kicking overtime when a field goal would have won it. There was really no incentive to run. He was inside the 10-yard line, and not only did he run him down, he caused a fumble, and then the Falcons drove the other way, won the game. He won the game, Roddy White did, by running the length of the field, so Mason Crosby.
Yeah, and then they got the chance,
that's
of course,
the
in
perfect
the way they did.
Right, but he didn't know that.
They had a chance.
He didn't know that.
The pass went in the end zone. I mean, there was a chance, right?
Totally. Yeah.
But,
I had the Vikings over 20.5 points, so that killed me. So let's do jerks.
Oh, it's fitting that I am slightly the jerk this week. At least one of my jerks is myself. I said way long ago, week 5, I'm sure you do, that the Saints would finish with a better record than the Falcons. And they were better than the Falcons, and they were not. The Falcons finished 8-8. The Saints finished 7-9. Therefore, I was wrong.
It's a meaningless distinction.
Well,
they're both out of the playoffs, 7-9, 8-8. It's a field goal, a break there.
It's meaningful. 2 teams that are irrelevant in your book.
I would rather be the Falcons because they installed the system that they're going to go with this year. They might be better next year. Obviously, they got to find out whether Matt Ryan.
You just said nobody cares.
Well, definitely nobody cares. I mean, if nobody cares, all I've done for 13 years at the Young Turks is mostly talk about things people don't care about. So it's the basis of my career. But I think the Saints are going to start over.
Yes.
You get that impression.
They're looking for a second-round draft pick.
But I mean, Drew Brees might be playing somewhere next year, and Peyton could easily be coaching somewhere next year. You know, the Sean Payton to Dallas possibility has sort of always seemed like it's out there, although Jerry Jones have to eat a lot of money. As we tape this on Monday, only the coaches yesterday have been fired. So right now, just Tom Sula and Pettin are gone. Okay, so that's your jerk of the week?
No, my jerk of the week is the run game because as the NFL moves way more towards a passing game, name me a quarterback who hasn't thrown for 4,000 passing yards this year.
Yeah.
It's gotten to that point. I get it. It is definitely
Blaine Gabbert, 4,100 passing yards.
That's what I'm saying, man. He had 6,000 passing yards this season. He won the passing title. But while Adrian Peterson got a rushing title this year, his third, which is remarkable considering he's, 31 years old, we watched as many running backs went down. And the NFL has essentially not abandoned the run game, even though there's coaches like Coughlin out there who still try to develop it during a game, even though it doesn't work. When we get to the quarter, we're going to eventually do our best best players by position. You're going to see the chart to which the 12, 13, 14 quarterbacks who threw over 4,000 yards this year. So the run game has become the jerk. It is not used as much as it used to be, and therefore more interceptions, more chance of mistakes in a way through the passing game.
We had to wrap up the Week 17 regular season with a Rams-49ers game. Everyone knows I'm a Rams fan. I didn't watch. I think I watched maybe 35 seconds of this game. When I said, "Oh, the Rams game is in overtime. Let's just see why they got there." And I saw why, and I turned back away again. Because I think it's the only game of the week of the last week regular season that went to overtime. So these are the only two teams that want to continue to play their brand of football. There's many curse words that I've just censored myself from. We talked earlier about New Year's resolutions. I've mentally, to myself, I haven't told many people, I'm trying to curse less on air because I think it's a little bit vulgar. But I'm trying
so not
really
in
hard.
life, like not around your kid.
Oh, yeah, not
just
at all.
on air.
Yeah, my kid is, he'll be fine. But, I mean, this game was so frustrating to watch. And it looks like you see a quick highlight. Oh, look at this big play. Oh, look at that big play. These are bad plays. These are horrible plays. It looks exciting. We're talking about the increased number of passing yards. Well, yeah, I mean, just if you're getting sacked, Blaine Gabbert, get twisted around and just throw the ball straight up in the air. Guarantee you somebody your team will catch it.
Yeah, totally.
It'll get there. Just sling it towards the sideline. The announcers can say, "Oh, Blaine Gabbert throwing the ball away." Oh, no. That's just a duck just waiting to get caught by
a regular
someone.
Pass.
And what a great play by Blaine Gabbert. No, it's a terrible play by the St. Louis defense. And the defense is pretty good, by the way, for St. Louis. It's just when you don't care anymore, you just don't care anymore. I mean,
I thought they'd
Tom
be
Sula,
incentivized to finish 8-8, but
yeah, I mean, you'd think. I mean, you always want to win some game, but they don't have it. There's something missing. Tom Sula got fired as he was going through the tunnel. No one, he's coming off and says, "Oh yeah, great way to finish the season. Here's your pink slip." It's just, I don't know. It was frustrating to watch these guys, and the fact they made anyone watch more than the regular. More than just the normal regulation of time is like a
So
fun.
your jerk is what, the Saints and the Rams and the Niners for
playing more,
for the insensitivity of going into overtime?
Yeah, just lose.
Right, well,
and even when the Rams are trying to win in overtime with that kick, I mean, they said, "What a great play!" He comes off and blocks it and gives the 49ers another chance to play more shit football. Sorry.
Yeah, well, so much for that news.
He came off the edge.
It lasted about 45 seconds after you announced it. I have 2 jerks this week. One is Jim Tomsula, and I wanted him to succeed because such a great story. And, but like from the press conference on, you knew this was a puzzling call for a team that ran a guy out. It was what, 46-19, Harbaugh, something like that, 41-19, more than 40 and 19, and they couldn't make it work. And bring in Tom Sula. He goes 5-11. It's not Tom Sula's fault they went 5-11, and a coach in the world could have made that. Bill Belichick goes 5-11 with that talent on that team. But Tom Sula seemed over his head and does not seem like the guy you want going forward. That said, it's 16-16 in this nonsense football game, right? There's a minute 39 to play. It's 4th and 4 at the Ram 37 in a 16-16 game against 2 teams not going to the playoffs. You're 4-11 at this point, and you punted. You're at the 37-yard line. You might get 4 yards, and then you win the game with a field goal, but you punted. I mean, that mindset, whatever is in there, I got it. Tom Brady's not your quarterback. It's Blaine Gabbert. But it's not 4th and 14. I'd have gone for it on 4th and 14 because, again, why not, right? But to save you from of playing overtime, right?
Absolutely.
But he punted 4th and 4 at the Ram 37 with a minute 39 to play, 4th and 4. And you know what that punt did? It went in the end zone. He gained 17 yards. He gained 17 yards. Because if you don't get it, the Rams take over at 37. You can still stop them. If they only get 1 first down or no first downs, you still go to overtime. But you might, I mean, the way these guys think is unbelievable. That is nonsensical. I don't need, show me the math. We don't need to see it. We don't need it proven. We know what it's going to say. Of course you should go for it. Because if you get 5 yards, you're in field goal range right then. Right then. But you might get more. Oh, man. So, Tom Sula, I mean, I'd have fired him right then. I wouldn't have let him coach overtime. It would have been awkward. And the other guy is Ryan Grigson, the Colts GM, who unquestionably deserves to be, could have been named a jerk every week for the roster construction there and that dysfunctional relationship. We'll see how that resolves with Chuck Pagano. But so Grigson, if these media reports are correct, the word for Grigson was that he was going to fire. By the way, you can totally, for what I'm about to say, include Jim Irsay in this, the Colts owner. So Jim Irsay and Ryan Grigson, the GM, they were going to fire Chuck Pagano if the Colts didn't make the playoffs. That was clear during the game. But the Colts had to hit a 9-team parlay to make the playoffs. They had to have 8 things happen, including Houston losing and the Colts winning, and then like 7 other things. Well, what do 8 of those 9 things have to do with Chuck Pagano? Like either you want to fire him or you want to keep him. But you can't determine to keep him based on whether the Falcons beat the Saints.
Yeah.
That's not a reason to keep Chuck Pagano. That shows a lack of commitment to your own philosophy. It's a philosophical weakness in a person. Like, you don't think Chuck Pagano should coach your team? Fire him. But if those 9 things happen and they win, because the Colts won, Pagano did all he could do, right? They won with Josh Freeman and that other guy and Ryan Lindley, right? They won the game with 2 guys who weren't in football on Thursday, right? And so Pagano, you want to say, you got him to 8-8. Andrew Luck was hurt, right, with that terrible roster that Grigson put together. But then keep him. But if those 9 things had happened and he made the playoffs, he didn't do a better job because of 8 things that he had nothing to do with. Yeah. It's insane. It is an insane way of thinking. So, I mean, I hope for the for the Colts' point of view that they made that decision independently and not whether the Saints beat the Falcons and whether the Jets beat the Bills or the Bills beat the Jets. It makes literally no sense.
Yeah.
Well, Pagano was probably had a full plan in. And he said, well, if we get these 8 things to happen, that was what I wanted. He's a genius.
He's a mad genius. All right, so thanks for watching. That's Turks and Jerks for this year. I enjoy. I guess we'll do playoff versions of it. But subscribe below and check out. We'll talk about the coaching situation in the NFL in another video. Thanks for watching, everybody.